Welcome to Our Heritage. We're so pleased you tuned in to watch us today. Our first guest is past commander of the American Legion 515, Jerome Loving. Welcome, and we're so glad to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm just as happy as I can be because I get a chance to talk about something that's dear to my heart.
Well, good. Jerome is going to tell us a little bit about the past of the organization, as well as the present, and maybe even a little bit of the future.
Yes,
okay.
That's correct. Well, the American Legion itself was founded on September the 16th, 1919, a nonprofit organization. It's the world's largest veterans organization, and its purpose is to provide a service to veterans, their family, and the community. It's over 1,500 posts in the American Legion, over 2.4 million members, and as a department headquarters in the 50 states, to include the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, France, Mexico, and the Philippines. And those districts have several posts that they monitor. Now, in some cities, there may be 2 posts. And this is something we like to get the public to understand. There may be a predominantly black post or predominantly white post. There are no black or white posts. The American Legion posts. It just so happened these posts were established during segregation, and the heritage within those posts, for instance, our post is named after the first veteran from Crawford County killed in World War II. And there's a lot of heritage there, so we the members, and another thing is there are many of his descendants in that post. So changing that name, leaving, won't happen. Right. Post 18, the other post has heritage, so what do? We do projects together.
It's wonderful.
So, but that's where we are in eligibility. Any veteran of any service that's armed with discharge may be, and where it is may be, admitted in the American Legion, because they are voted in by members to let you know if the character's not where we want it, they may not make it in.
Do y'all have an auxiliary?
Yes, we do. The latest auxiliary, that's Unit 515. Right. They are an integral part of what we do, because their support to the American Legion help us really do our programs. They have programs of their own too that they must do. Easter programs, poppies, Halloween safety, and they just augment us. And when we do the things such as feeding veterans, taking stuff to the VA for veterans, so they're very important to us. Right. A group of veterans returning from World War I in France is one established the American Legion. Oh, okay. A group of officers, they wanted to do something to try to improve troop morale. So they met in France for the first time to establish the American Legion. So that's where we came from. And the American Legion is political but not getting into politics. What does that mean? They lobby for veterans' rights, veterans' benefits, in Congress. We have a national commander that sits in the Congress to do that for those members that cannot. So one of the things that they've done that's key to veterans is the GI Bill. They introduced the GI Bill, which was signed, but the main thing I want to bring out is the individual that was key that just made the deciding vote is a member from Douglas, Georgia, John Strickland.
Oh, okay.
He was a member of Congress when it was signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1944. He was home in bed sick, and they needed a tie to break the tie. He took his bed and him and put an airplane, flew him to D.C. and he voted to, and that's why we had the GI Bill.
That's dedication.
Yes, it is. But you know, it was one of the great things that the American Legion did. And most recently, when the backlog of claims were in the VA, the American Legion National Commander is one brought to the floor, we need to do something. And that chairman was removed based on the American Legion.
Who is the gentleman that you named your group after, your lodge?
The individual's name is Lester Smith.
Okay.
And he was killed in World War II. And to be his body, his remains were not returned to the United States. Oh. So, and I say his many descendants are members of our post, both female, the legionnaires, and the auxiliary. Okay,
fantastic. I just want to make sure I got that name down.
Yeah, Lester Smith.
I can remember Lester Smith.
PFC, he was a PFC.
All right.
Okay.
And you're still active today because I see y'all in the paper all the time.
Well, that's by design because we have a charter, and the thing we must do is support veterans, families in the community. And recently we worked with the city to do the Martin Luther King Day on, day off. We helped clean up a cemetery. And back in 2012, we restored the cemetery right on Highway 32 West, the Upton Cemetery.
Yes, yes.
And we continue to maintain that cemetery because it was in terrible shape. We get Boyd State. We send kids to Boyd State each year. Oratorical, just at 27, we did our post-oratorical contest. And that one person is going to go to district to represent us. And could go all the way to nationally if they're that good.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Yes.
What about girls auxiliary?
The girls, they parallel primarily. They're the girls' state to do the same thing. Going to post competition, district competition, area, all the way to national if they go.
Okay.
So.
Very interesting.
But you know, a lot of other things. If you want to know what we do to make sure that we do what we supposed to, oratorical contest, give 2 academic scholarships of $500 each year. We assist veterans with claim preparation, transportation, if possible. The first thing we want the families to take care of that. But if we can, we will. We take comfort items to the VA. We primarily Dublin. We have a Veterans Honor Guard that we are the sponsor of, but it's Veterans of Crawford County. That's part of that Honor Guard. Flag disposal. This is a new program we decided to do just with a new commander, Al Walker. And anyone that have a flag that is in disarray, call me, 912-592-6413, and we'll coordinate, get it picked up, and we'll dispose of it with a ceremony. And June is Flag Month. So,
yes, it is.
So if you got them,
June 14th is Flag Day.
If you got them, call me. Let's get them so we can dispose of them in June.
Okay.
We do Memorial Day programs, Veterans Day, and I say there are 2 posts. One of the things, the Dublin is also a joint with 18 and 515, and they are post 18 heads that, and we join them. Veterans Day, we feed veterans. We've done that several times. We're going to continue to do that. Christmas baskets, Thanksgiving baskets. You know, all this is community and family that we do. And we took kids shopping 2 years ago. The Veteran Memorial at the Crawford County Courthouse, 18 and 515 and Lions Club came together. We moved it and added to it. Told you Upton Cemetery, we got a memorial at post 515. Now, the one that I think is dear to me the most is the Reefs Across America.
Oh, I love that one.
Reefs Across America is in December each year. It's observed on the second or third Saturday in December. We did it at Upton Cemetery 2014. At 2015, we did the City Cemetery, over 700 veterans. And that is putting a reef on every veteran's grave. Now, national, their goal is to put a reef on all the national cemeteries throughout the United States and 24 foreign countries. We want to bring it to Crawford County. So that was 14 and 15. 2016, we're going to do multiple cemeteries.
All right.
Now, to do that, we need community support, churches, individuals, businesses, banks, everybody to contribute. We got the Veterans Organization, the Post 18, 515, and the VFWs involved.
Right.
We got the CCA Leo Club, the Coffee High NJROTC. Those on board now. A member of our post will marry up with any organization for sponsorship.
Okay.
And that's 18, 515 or VFW, because last year we did one cemetery, and Anya Osteen said we should not have to choose what veteran get a reef. So this year, as many as we can, that means as many as we can, it's $15 to sponsor a reef.
Okay.
And my number, I've given it once, and we'll be getting it out in the public. This is the first time it's been talked about publicly, but in the future, very near future, it'll be out there.
Okay. Well, if you'll remind me next fall, if I'm still doing this program, I will remind folks.
Okay. Well, I think what I would like to also say is, I just told you some of the things we do, and I believe that lived up to the purpose of the American Legion.
I do too.
And to show that in 2013, we were runner-up for the most outstanding post in Georgia.
Fantastic.
2014, we were the runner-up again.
Well, you're going to beat it this time.
2015, we were the most outstanding post in the state of Georgia. So, and that's because we do the things that we're chartered to do. But we're nonprofit. Everything we do is based on what people give us to allow us to do these programs.
Okay.
So With continued support, we'll keep on doing it.
Well, we will continue support, and I will get with you because we're going to do those wreaths, and we're even going to put up a display for you.
Oh, quit it.
Thank y'all so much, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We're so glad you continued to join our program, and my next guest today is Dr. Carl McDonald, and he is with the Air Base Preservation Committee for the City of Douglas, and he's also a retired educator and a Methodist minister. I'm going to put that out because I know those,
Okay.
and everybody else does too.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on out there.
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about the history
Sure.
of the Air Base. It started out really through the impetus of what's now South Georgia State College. Back then, it was originally the 11th District Agricultural College. Became the first publicly funded junior college in the state of Georgia, and it's the college that started the airport
Oh,
out
I did
there.
not know that.
That's right. And in addition to that, it was the college that was behind creating the flight training school that's out there. Back in 1939, Wesley Raymond and Robert Richardson, along with J.M. Thrash, who was the president of South Georgia State Junior College back then, along with a representative from the Civil Aeronautics Administration, decided to open a flight training school for college students out there where our air base is. Well, it was only 1 year later, in 1940, that the United States Army Air Force became interested in that base because while we weren't yet involved in the war, Great Britain, of course, was involved in the war in Europe with Nazi Germany,
Right.
and Roosevelt had already started his Lend-Lease program, and it's sort of like the handwriting was on the wall. So in 1940, the U.S. Army Air Force decided to take over that base that was already there because so much that they needed was already established. They began construction in June of 1941, and the first class came about in October of 1941. Well, then, of course, Pearl Harbor, and the need for pilots was tremendously great. So during all those war years, from 41 through the late 1944, some 10,000 cadets went through that World War II training base. That's right.
I didn't realize that number was that great.
It
I
was
thought
great.
maybe a few
Yes,
hundred.
and these pilots were assigned in all theaters of the war, in Europe, in the Far East, just everywhere that pilots were needed. So that's a tremendous part of our heritage, that air base.
Definitely.
Our committee, which is actually a preservation and development committee, is committed to preserving that air base. That's number one. And of course, the air base went on the National Register of Historic Places in May of 2013, almost 3 years ago. You can see the sign out there. There's a marvelous World War II flight training museum
It is
out there at
gorgeous.
the
I
base
love it.
too. Now that's run by the 63rd Preservation Society. That's a separate organization from the committee that the city has established. But we have a tremendous relationship with them. I mean, we work together. One of our board members attends their meetings, one of their board members attends our meetings.
Good.
We work together for the good of that air base. Of the 21 buildings that were originally there, there are still, well, there are 11 really, because we reconstructed the guard building when you first come into the, yeah. So about half, let's say, of the original buildings, and that includes the hangars. One of the original hangars is gone, but two of the originals are still there. The control tower's gone, the canteen's gone, the mess hall is gone, some of the barracks. But we still have probably the best maintained and the best authentic air base, World War II training air base in the entire United States.
It is a nice area.
Yes,
out there. It really is.
It really is. And our goal is to preserve that and also to develop it as best we can. We have, I mentioned reconstruction of that guard tower. There's plans for the possible reconstruction of some other pre-existing buildings.